Shabbat Shalom everybody, and you are welcome to the Shabbat of this morning. The parasha of this morning is known as Parasha Vayigash. Parasha Vayigash. That is the parasha of this morning. Alright, and I subtitle the parasha of this morning as coming face to face with your essential self. Coming face to face with your essential self. What is the meaning of that? That is, until we come face to face with our essential self, we are not free. You have as a man, you have as a woman, you have as a person has to face that your nemesis. You know, everybody has a nemesis. You have to face it face to face. You don't put your head in the ground and say, you know what? That is, I don't want to look at that problem. You have to solve it. If you don't solve it, the problem will continue to follow after you. We are going to see how Joseph solved his problem. You know, because as a man, as an individual, as a person, it is extremely difficult for you to say, you know what, I want to overlook what they did against me. I'm speaking as a man, and I'm speaking as a rabbi now. If my brother took me and they sold me into slavery for no fault of mine, for I didn't do anything wrong, and they sold me into slavery, and all the pains, all the sufferings, all the prison that I underwent in Israel, in Egypt, and now God has favored me, and now I have become the king. Of course, as a person, as a human being, you know, we are all human beings. As a man with a flesh, I want to say, you know what, I'm going to avenge. Because I'm not in the place of authority, in the place of power. I will say, you know what, okay, I see my brother, okay, you are the people that did wrong unto me. Now, it's my time to hammer you well. But Joseph didn't do that. What kind of a man is Joseph? Joseph saw this from another perspective. His brother were seeing him from a negative perspective in the beginning, remember? Because he came and told them his dream. He said, hey, it was a youth. He had no ill intention against his brother. He would say, oh, brothers, you know, I have a dream. Just like children will tell their parents, oh, mama, papa, I have a dream this morning. This is my dream. The boy is just saying what he see or what he saw, right? The same thing here. Joseph was telling his brother what he saw, what God showed him, and his brothers doesn't like that. Or because Joseph was a very good administrator, or because Joseph learned from his father Jacob. He learned a lot of things, how to administer things, how to manage home, how to manage a business. He come and bring bad report to his father. Oh, papa, you know, my brothers, I don't know. They were not taking care of the sheep. They were just sitting down, allowing the sheep to just roam about. Oh, papa, mama, you know, papa, you know, my brothers, the sheep, they beat the sheep too much. It's not good. If you beat the sheep too much, the sheep, they will be sick. Oh, papa, mama, you see, my brothers, you know what they did? They took the sheep to, they didn't give them too much water. But when they eat, you have to, you need to drink. And they don't even care about the sheep. Then when they bring all those news to his father, the brothers doesn't like that. Oh, it's this boy. Who are you? You know, it's like that. And because of that, they hated him. Because of that, they say, okay, this guy is a what? He's a problem unto us. We need to do what? Get rid of him. Because every time we come to our father and give bad report to our father about us, you know, let's get rid of him and remove him out of the family. And that they did. They succeeded in doing that because the brothers are seeing the life of Jacob from a negative perspective. But the life of Joseph, I'm sorry, but Joseph, after all this had happened, saw from another perspective, from the positive perspective, everything that happened unto him. Parasha Vayigash, and he approached. In this time, we are seeing the two Messiah. Messiah ben Yosef and Messiah ben David. You see, these two Messiah are standing face to face to discuss. Remember, Yeshua ben David is from the tribe of Yehuda. See now, Yehuda now approached Joseph to discuss with him. Oh, my Lord. Remember, they said, who are you? 10, 20, 22, 25 years ago. Remember? Who are you? Are we going to bow down unto you? No, that will never be. We will never bow down. You are the youngest. Who are you to tell us that to bow down to you? Never. It will never happen. Did it not happen? It happened. Because the vision, because the dream is not of him. The dream is not of his making. It's not of the making of who? Of Joseph. The dream is of God. God gave the dream to that young boy, to that lad, to that boy. And it will surely come to pass. Nothing can stop it. You see, he came, he approached, and he said, my Lord, your servant. You see, he's calling himself a servant of Joseph. My Lord, your servant told his dad, this, that if I do not bring back the youngest one, it's going to be what? There's going to be a big problem in the family. I'm going to read so that we can understand. Then Judah approached him and said, if you please, my Lord, may your servant speak a word in my Lord's ears, and let not your anger flee up against your servant. You see? Let not your anger flee up against your servant. Because he was afraid of who? Of Joseph. They couldn't recognize him. Why couldn't they recognize Joseph? Why? Are they not, didn't they resemble? There should have been some kind of resemblance. Because children are born from the same father and mother, there's some resemblance, You don't they look alike, they look alike. There should be some resemblance. Maybe their mind has faded away. Because Joseph was taken when he was what? 17 years old. And now Joseph is 30 years old. Remember the Hebrews. What do? They have beards. We leave our beards. We have beards everywhere. We are what? We are nomad. We take care of the sheep. From one place to another. We move everywhere. Maybe they smell because they don't take shower. They don't take bath. But the Egyptians are smooth people, they shave. They shave their beards. They put on, the men, not women. Even men, they put on what? Maquillage. Men, they put on maquillage, they design them, they make manicure, pedicure, whatever they do. Nice. But they put them paint. And now they could not recognize who Joseph is. Because there is no beard, right? The same thing. Many people do not recognize Yeshua because there is a group of people. Because there is a religion that took this Hebrew man. They took him and they shaved him. They shaved him, they designed him. They gave him another name. The same way they did to Joseph. Remember, Joseph was given another name, not the name of Joseph. Pharaoh gave him a new name. Because we don't need that, we don't want to hear the name Joseph. You need to be assimilated. We need to assimilate you unto ourselves. Because when we call you Joseph, what? Joseph? What does that mean? Because Egyptian doesn't bear the name Joseph. It's a Hebrew name, not an Egyptian name. And these are the name of the nomad. Remember, if you read to the end, I will show us now. He said, here, just a minute. If you go to chapter, let me see. If you go to chapter 30, chapter 45, chapter 45, I'm going to give us now this. I'm going to show us here. Okay, just a minute. I'm going to show us now. Okay, chapter 46. I'm sorry, chapter 46. Chapter 46, verse 34. I'm going to read. Chapter 46, verse 34. Then you said, then you are to say, now Joseph is telling Jacob what to tell Pharaoh, the king. And so when Pharaoh asks you, Papa, this is what you tell Pharaoh, okay? Don't mistake. Don't mistake. I will tell you what to tell Pharaoh, the king. So once Pharaoh asks you, what is your occupation? What do you do for living? This is exactly what you tell Pharaoh. Chapter 47, verse 34. Then you are to say, your servant have been a cattleman from our youth to now. But we and our forefathers, both we and our forefathers, so that you may be able to settle on the region of Goshen, since all shepherds are abhorrent to the Egyptians. What do you mean of abhorrent? So the Egyptians hate shepherds. They hate them because they sting, they smell. They don't take shower, they don't take bath. We don't need just the same thing that we experience in the world of now. Nothing changed under the sun. The Torah says that it's nothing new under the sun. Nothing new. Everything is of old. The same. Oh, these people, they stink, they smell. We don't need them in our society. So let's give them a separate place. Let them go and stay in that place. Separate them from the Egyptians. They stink. They have too much children. They just bomb, like rats. But we are civilized. We shave. We put maquillage. A man become a woman. We are transsexual. Man can sleep with men and female can sleep. No problem. We are what? Civilized men. That is the same thing happen. No difference. And now the Jews, the Hebrews grow bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and they feed the entire land. What happened again? Another problem. Oh, you are too much in the land because you are going to overpower us. Whose fault? My fault. You don't want to born. You say that you are civilized. Okay, stay there. Right? The same thing is going to happen in our province very soon, because in our province, the people, the Quebecois themselves, they don't born. Oh, yeah, but, I don't want to even have children. I'm transsexual. Or I'm a gay or lesbian. I'm not. If you like, we can call me whatever name you want to call me. I don't care. You can call me transphobia. That's none of my business. I'm telling the fact of the Torah. What the Torah speaks. Right? The truth is the truth. You come and they don't born, and very soon, if another race come and overpopulate the whole land, you jealous. You start shouting, oh, everything is taken over by another people. Of course, it will go to take over because you don't born. If you don't want to born, do you think that children will come from heaven? No. You have to born to repopulate your aging society. But no, we don't want to repopulate. We depend upon immigrants. Let the immigrant come. Let them populate everything. And it's not bad. That is very, very bad. I'm not saying immigration is bad. No, I am an immigrant myself. But the people of the land has to populate. They have to do what? They have to born. That's the reason that God is saying you have to populate the earth. You see, so I want us to understand it from the Torah point of view. This is what you tell him. Tell him, your servant is a shepherd. It's not only me and my forefathers before me. Abraham was a shepherd. Isaac was a shepherd. And me too, I'm a shepherd. And so therefore, so that the man can give you the best of the land, in the land of Goshen. We have to come face to face with our essential self. Now that is just the what? I just summarized the whole story. Now we are going to go inside the story itself. The climax of Joseph's saga erupts in this parasha when Joseph, unable to maintain the rules any longer, finally utter the simple word, Ani Yosef. I am Joseph. Genesis chapter 45, verse 3. As he says these three words, the recorded history of our people suddenly seems to stand still. We are overwhelmed by the moment, having relived it so many times in our own lives. And strange family members finally back in the fold. Former friends in contact with one another, and next door neighbor taking or talking once more. Joseph told his brother, I need Joseph. What did they? Oh no, are you kidding me? Who are you? Because they could not recognize him. Many of us who are Hebrew indeed does not recognize the Messiah. You see, we do not recognize the Messiah because of what? Because the Messiah has been taken and they have now disguised the Messiah. The Romans taken the Messiah and they do what? They cover him up with a Roman cloth. They turned the Messiah to a Roman. And to the Jews, he is no longer a Jew, he's a Roman. That is it. The same thing with Joseph. His brother, his brother who are Hebrew like him could not recognize him because the Egyptians are taking Joseph and making one of them, and he looked like what? Like an Egyptian. And how do you want his brother to relate to him? They will not be able to relate to Joseph very well because to him, what they have seen before them is an Egyptian, not a Hebrew. Not a Hebrew, but an Egyptian. So what we, the Hebrew people, are seeing is a Roman man with blue eyes and a long nose who we don't know because we don't have blue eyes. Our eyes are brown eyes. We are shepherd. We are dark skin. We stay in the sun all day long. We don't know him. So how do you want me to relate to a European man with a long nose that I don't even understand who he is? And you are telling me that I am what? I am anti some religion. I am not anti some religion because I don't recognize the man that you are calling God. For God is not a man, but a spirit. And God said, I will never be a man. So if God said he's not a man, and somebody said that God is a man, then there's a problem somewhere. I will believe what the Torah said. Because you took a man, you tore him into pieces, give him another name that is not his name, and you dress him up in the Roman clothes, and you want me, a Jew, to believe in him. You are wasting your time. That will never happen because I don't know him. I don't recognize him, and I will never recognize him. It's not a Jew. We call them what? Uncircumcised. I don't want to say the word. They are what they are, uncircumcised. We don't recognize them. The brother of Joseph did not recognize him. Even though when he says his name, I need Joseph, I am Joseph, they said no. I need Joseph. Who are you? Until when he sent all of them out, all his servants, he sent them, and the Torah said, and he made himself known to his brother. What is the meaning of that word? To make himself known to his brother. That means he opened up himself and tell his brother, look at me, I am circumcised, I am your brothers. I am not an Egyptian, was a signal. And they believe, oh, because it is the Hebrew that circumcised. The Egyptians, they do not. Whoa, that is true. This is Joseph. They could not recognize him because he put on all those attires. He has to remove all those attires out of him for them to do what? To recognize him. So as far as they put on all these attires on this man, whatever they call his name, I cannot recognize him except they remove all those dirty attires from him, then and come and show me that yes, this is me. I am the Messiah. I am circumcised. I am of the Hebrew. Then I will recognize because he is indeed a Hebrew, like me. As a result of Joseph's self-revelation, his estrangement from his family is eclipsed by the long-awaited reunion. We learn why he had not attempted to contact his father after all these years, why he had waited so long to reveal himself. Joseph was not ready to confront his family. He had much to learn about himself before he could make contact with his father and brother once again. He has to come face to face with his essential self. Joseph has to think, what do I do? What do I do? God, the God of my fathers, give me wisdom, give me understanding. How do I know that these my brothers, they have repented? How do I know that this my brother, they have improved their way? How do I know that this my brother, they have made teshuvah? Because if they have not made teshuvah, I will deal with them. If they have not repented, oh, I pity them. I will deal with them. He said, and God gave him wisdom. He said, go bring your youngest brother. Bring him, bring him. You know, do you have a, oh yeah, one younger brother. Oh, nice. Bring him. And Joseph tricked them. Put his golden cup in Benjamin's bag. And he said, okay, go. He sent his servant. Oh, you have stolen from me. You are a thief. You are a criminal. Are they thieves? They are not thieves. They never stole anything. But it's a trick. To understand if the brothers have repented or not. It was a trick. He bring them all back again. He said, oh, open the bag. Oh, they find the cup, the golden cup in the what? In the bag of Benjamin. Oh, you are a thief. You so much. No, I didn't steal. I didn't. No, but the cup is there. You cannot argue that. The cup is there. Everybody saw it. Okay, you are not going to be what? You are not going to be a prisoner in my home forever. Now, Mashiach ben David came in. That is Judah. Judah's approach by Yigash. Judah's approach Joseph. Let not my Lord be angry. Let not my Lord be annoyed. Let not the anger of my Lord flee against his servant. Let me speak. Give me one second. Let me speak. Okay, you can speak. Talk. I want to see because you guys are criminals and thieves. I did well with you. I gave you everything. And now at the end, this is what you're going to pay me with by stealing my cup. Are they thieves? They are not thieves. But you want to understand, have they repented? Judah said, my Lord, before we came in here, this boy was given in my charge. I'm in charge of him. My father said that I have to bring him back. Remember, when you ask us, do we have a father? We say yes. Do you have a brother? We say yes. And now, when the food is finished, our father sent us back, and we said, no, we cannot go back except we bring the youngest one, the young boy, because the man said, if we do not bring the youngest one, they were not going to see his face. And now, Papa, please, you have to take him and do what? And take him so that the man can see, so that we can buy food. What is the purpose for us to go there and we cannot buy food and come back empty-handed? Okay, but you know, remember, there are two of them. Jacob is speaking now. Remember, there are two of them, right? One was stolen from me. If we read it from the text, Jacob knew perfectly well that Joseph is not dead. He knows. It's not that he doesn't know. He knows that Joseph is not dead. He knows for sure that Joseph was taken away, and he said so in his speech. Let's see. Page chapter 44, verse 28. He said, one has left me, and I presume, alas, he has surely been torn to pieces, for I have not seen him since. You see, he said that one has left me, and I presume. I don't know. I know that he's not dead, but I presume that he has been torn into pieces. And now you want to take the youngest one again from me. If you take him away and something happens to him, then I'm going to die in anguish. You are going to put my sorrow down into grave. Right? And Yehuda said, I cannot see this happen to my father. Please, my Lord, take the boy back, let the boy go back to his father and take me as a prisoner. You see, that is what God is showing. That's what God is talking about. Instead of him, take me. The same thing Yeshua did. Instead of them, take me. I love this. They are your creation. You know, they are my people. I love them. You know, God, instead of you to destroy them, leave them alone. Take me. No problem. I will stand in their place. That is what we call self-sacrifice. And that is what God is looking for. God does not accept sacrifice, a human sacrifice. No. God has said, I will never accept human sacrifice. Most of the religions are talking about sacrificing human, because that is their religion. That is their mentality. Remember, in those days in Europe, they sacrificed their babies to their gods. They sacrifice in some place in South America, in some place in Africa. They do that. Sacrificing human being. We don't do that. Our God does not allow that. God does not accept human sacrifice. But when you sacrifice yourself for a particular cause, God understands that. Because it is in your heart. God judges by the heart, by your heart, not by your actions. Because before you do that action, you have already planned everything in your heart. That's why God judges by the heart, not by the actions. So, my people, this is what Joseph saw. Joseph saw that his brother has actually repented. Joseph saw that his brother are actually very, very sorry for their sin. Because Judah coming up saying, no. Nothing shall befall this young one. No. Because they were two in their families. That his mama born. The oldest one is dead. But they don't know that the oldest one is the one standing, speaking with them. And now, I cannot allow this young one to suffer. No. Please, my Lord, take me. And let this young one go back to his father. I'm ready to be your slave for the rest of my life. No problem. But this one, let him go. And Joseph was moved because of that statement. Because he knows now that yes, his brother are sorry for what they did against him. If his brother can stand up firm, defending his younger brother, defending Benjamin. Even though he's ready to self-sacrifice their own life, for their brother, for Benjamin. I see now that yes, they have really repented. The Torah wants us to believe that Joseph's brother do not recognize him. True. They only remember him as a young boy and certainly do not expect him to have achieved a place of prominence in Egypt. Never. It has never even come across their mind. Okay? They never thought about that. They have not seen Joseph in many years, but it is puzzling that his brother detect no family resemblance, see no common gesture, nothing at all that appear familiar to them. Nothing. You see, it is very, very surprising because this man, Joseph, has been assimilated as what? As an Egyptian. They dress him up like an Egyptian, put him crown of gold, paint his face, paint his fingers, nice, beautiful clothes. It's just like completely like the image of a woman, not a man anymore, because there is no beard, right? How can I recognize that? I can't. I don't know him. He is an Egyptian. And the Torah insists, Joseph's brother had no sense whatsoever that the man who stood in front of them was their brother Joseph. Perhaps it is because they remember Joseph as he was, as this young boy who is presumptuous, who is pretentious, and who is precocious. Is this young boy who moves everywhere? Is this in their memory? Joseph is what? Is a baby because they have not seen him for a long time. Is this boy that just jump and start condemning us? Is this boy that will go and report to our father, give our father bad news about us? That is the image of Joseph in their head. What is the image of the Messiah in your head? That's a question you have to answer. What is the image of the Messiah in your head? Is it the image of that Roman man that they picture and give to you? Is it the picture of that sexy European man? Is it the picture of the Messiah? That man with blue eyes and long nose. Is that the picture of the Messiah? You have to reason. You have to think. Joseph's saga seems to be a human story about one man and the relationship he developed with his brother. It is also about each of us as we struggle to come closer to the member of our families and to our inner self. But the Joseph story is much more. For with Joseph and his brother, the Torah offers us a foreshadowing of what all Israel will learn in the parashot that follow. The possibility of deliverance from slavery only comes from the self-awareness that emerged through intimate contact with the divine. See, we have to understand, we have to come face to face with our own essential self. Joseph came face to face with his own essential self. He said, am I going to continue to hide myself? Am I going to continue to have a veil between me and my brothers? Am I going to continue to build a wall between me and my brothers? Or is it time for me to remove that veil, break down that wall, and reveal myself to my brothers? It is my choice. I have to decide. So we have, as a person, as a people, as a group, as a family, we have to come to face with our essential self, with your inner self. Stop denying who you are. That is how God has made you. Come out from your shell. Come out from that veil that you're covering yourself with. No, it's no longer time to be covering yourself with that veil. Remove it. Come out. Let us see who you are, your true color. Stop being a chameleon. It's time to come out and say, yes, this is who I am. This is me. The real me. The Aphes Hayim even sees the messianic here. For with Joseph, utter the word of self-disclosure, Ani Yosef, I am Joseph. It is actually God speaking here through the mouth of the Messiah, ben Yosef, saying, I am God, doing my work in the world through Joseph. We too embody God's presence in the world as we grow, mature, and reach our higher selves and commit to doing God's work in the world, struggling to bring forward the Messianic era. This is what I am saying, that God was actually speaking through Joseph. It wasn't Joseph that was speaking, but God himself. God was speaking through Joseph, saying, this is me, I am God. I'm doing my work in the world. You see, through your brother Joseph. It was the work of God. Joseph himself said, oh, alas, as my children always say in French, voilà. Voilà. I see. Voilà, I understand. Actually, it is not you that sold me. Joseph saw it from another perspective, from the positive perspective. He wasn't no longer accusing his brother for selling him. Actually, he's not thanking them for selling him. Thank you for selling me. Because if you did not sell me, I won't be here where I am today. He saw it from the positive perspective. He said, alas, voilà. I see that you did not, it is not you that brought me here, but God. In order to bring me ahead of you, to preserve you. Because God knows tomorrow. God knows yesterday. God knows now, and God knows what to come in a billion years. It is a plan of God all these years. But God was using his brothers as his tools. Right? God was using the brother of Joseph to bring to pass the plan of God for Joseph. Many your enemies, right? Our enemies might be thinking that they are killing us. But actually, no. They are just a tools of God to bring us into more higher and higher level. You see, in the mind of the brothers of Joseph, oh, Joseph is my enemies, right? This boy is disturbing me. Let me get rid of him. Oh, we've gotten rid of him. Hallelujah! Yeah, we can rejoice and dance. But alas, they have to come back and bow down and worship Joseph. So likewise shall it be in our life. Our enemies shall come to worship on our feet. Because God is going to use them as an instrument to lift us in a higher level. But we have to do what? We have to do the work. Remember, Joseph did the work. Joseph did the work. Joseph stood firm. We have to stand firm in our belief in our Creator. We have to stand firm in the Torah. We have to take hold of the Torah. Is the tree of life. We have to take hold of it. So therefore, we can climb higher. Because we are with God. God is with us. God will lift us higher to the highest level. I am Joseph, your brother, whom you sold into Egypt. freedom begins with the tale only if only it is truthful. And you yourself, I am Joseph, your brother, whom you sold into Egypt. In the telling of his own tale, Joseph rises above the event, above his own anger and hurt. As he is speaking, he begins to float above the lowly Peshat, and he says, do not be distressed or reproach yourself, because you sold me. It was to save life that God sent me ahead of you. Genesis chapter 45 verse 5. The verbs change from sold to sent, and the entire series of events is reconstructed from a higher purpose of which none of the participants had been aware until that particular moment of transformation. When the surface gives way, when what was once opaque is now transparent, and within the event, Joseph sees a higher wisdom until he told his own story and squeezed it for all its hidden godliness. The truth of his own life has eluded him, and he heard himself saying, so now it was not you that sent me here, but God. Joseph is known in Kabbalah as the harvester. He is the one who harvests events to reveal the truth. It is a surprise even to him. You see, it was a surprise to Joseph himself. When sometimes we get to a particular stage in our life, right? Then we begin to look back what happened. Say, I can now understand. At that moment, you don't understand what is going on. But when you go high, and you look back, you say, wow, this is what God has been teaching me. All this while, I didn't understand or I didn't know. So the same thing happened in the life of Joseph. Joseph now realized, he now has the divine chutzpah, the divine wisdom. Say, wow, actually it is not my brother that brought me here, but God himself, who brought me here ahead of them to preserve them, to save them. Because if Joseph was not in Egypt, they might have perished in Canaan because of the famine. Here, in this portion, by proclaiming, "Ani Joseph, I am Joseph," he is not merely identifying himself. He is implying that he can't be defined any longer by the way others perceive him as a result of his inner struggle. He has come to understand the full depth of self and is ready to share that insight with others. In that moment, for the first time in his life, Joseph revealed his essential self to his brother. Hence, one verse later, he repeats the phrase, "I am Joseph, your brother." Remember, the first time he said, "Ani Joseph, I am Joseph." They said, "What? We don't believe that." Then he repeats again, "I am Joseph, your brother." It's different, right? I am Joseph. Okay, so Joseph, okay, there's a lot of Joseph. Then he said, not just ordinary Joseph, not just other Joseph. Ani Joseph, your brother. I am Joseph, your flesh, your brother. The same DNA, the same fathers. You see that what he's saying? The essence of the word. I am your brother. I am not a stranger. I am not other Joseph. No, I am your brother, your flesh, your bone, your blood. God has brought me here, and I am here to help you. See, Joseph didn't go and avenge. He didn't go say, "Okay, it's my turn to deal with you because you sold me." No, Joseph saw it from a positive perspective. He saw it from another perspective. I am saying, my sister and my brothers, my people, my family, if I'm speaking as a man, if it is me, I will have avenged. But Joseph is more wise. What is wisdom? Wisdom is not that you are 2,000 years old and that you are wise. No, you might be 2,000 years old, but you are a fool. Right? But wisdom is God-given. Joseph was the youngest, but look at his wisdom. His wisdom is far above that of his brothers who are older than him, maybe 50, 60 years older than him. He was the youngest, one of the youngest, the 11th one. But look at him, he's older than them spiritually. In the spiritual mind, Joseph is far advanced, far ahead of them, with divine understanding. So I want us to always see these things in our life. God is showing us individually and collectively who He is. Please, let us wake up, let us come out, and reveal ourselves to our brothers. The Messiah will come, and the Messiah will reveal himself to his brothers. Remember, the Messiah is a Hebrew man. The Messiah is a Hebrew man. It's not a European. It's not from South America. It's not from Asia. It's a Hebrew. And when he comes, the first thing he's going to do is going to reveal himself to his brothers. Not to any other race, not to any other beings, but to his brothers, his fellow people. Then we know, we recognize, and we will follow him. Because that is the anointed one. Some verses later, Joseph is able to tell his brother the real Torah that he has learned in his life journey that took him down to Egypt. God sent me here, not you. He said, it is God that sent me here, not you. Don't accuse yourself. Don't worry. Don't tear yourself down. Don't cry. No, don't do that. It is God that sent me here before you. Joseph learned, as we must, that until we come face to face with our essential self, we are blocked from such spiritual learning. Or perhaps it is through intimacy with God and understanding of God's direction in our life that we are able to come to know our essential self. Rabbi Isaac ben Moshe Aroma, known as Akedat Isaac, put it best when he interpreted Joseph's word as saying, I arrived to this place through God. It is not you that brought me. Don't worry. Don't accuse yourself. Don't tear down yourself. I'm not going to avenge. No. I'm not going to kill you. I'm not going to punish you. I'm not going to wipe you. It is God's plan for me to preserve you, to keep you, to save you, to give you food, to bless you. Don't worry. You see, such a divine understanding. He didn't avenge. He didn't avenge. No. Even though when we are going to see it next week, when their father died, when Jacob died, what did? They ran to Joseph and said, Joseph, this is what our father said. Because of what? They couldn't believe it. It's even to the moment their father passed away, they couldn't believe that Joseph has forgiven them. They were afraid that Joseph was just waiting, pretending, waiting until their father died, then he was going to deal with them. They came, they were afraid. You see, a sinner run when no man pursue. It's always like that. A sinner will always run when no man is pursuing him or her, because he's a sinner. As I said, a thief thinks everybody is a thief. Because in his mind, he's a thief. And so in his mind, he thinks that everybody is a thief like him. You see, because he saw somebody, thinks he doesn't want that thing to be taken away from him. He thinks that another person will come and steal it from him. So they were afraid. They came to Joseph and said, please, our father said this. Forget about that. I'm not going to avenge. No, nothing will happen to you. I will keep you, I will protect you, I will bless you. Don't worry. It is not you that sold me, but God that brought me here. Parasha Vayigash. Coming face to face with our essential self. We have to come face to face, just like Joseph came face to face with himself, with his own essential self, to see it from a different perspective. What is happening in your life? What is happening in your life? What is happening in our lives? Are we seeing it from the positive perspective, or are we looking at it from the negative perspective? Please, whatsoever happens in your life, whatsoever happens in our life, never ever you look at it from the negative perspective. Always look at it from the positive perspective. And when you look at it from the positive perspective, positivity will come unto you. May God bless you. May God keep you. May God bless you. And may God continue to increase you as He increased Joseph. Shabbat Shalom.